Hey everybody, how are we doing this evening? This week has really caught up with me. It's Thursday already. Sitting on the sofa next to me is the one, the only Mr. Rock and Roll legend himself, Mr. Henry Stadler. How you doing, mister?
Good evening, everybody in London and around the world. Nice to see everybody, hopefully.
Hopefully. Well, I tell you what, it's a really weird virtual thing going on here on the show tonight, is because basically we aren't in London, we're in sunny Torbay. Have you been to Torbay? Do you know anything about Torbay? Over in Devon?
Nothing. No, I looked up
We went...
Devon, but a little bit last night.
Didn't get caught. Sorry about that, everyone.
All I heard was, or all I saw, that it was in England. So
it's a typical live show this evening. I'm getting attacked by my lights, Henry. Just give me 2 seconds.
No problem whatsoever.
I tell you what, everyone on YouTube is going to laugh on that. We're going to get extra views just because Adrian got hit by the light. Anyway, that's put me off. We were talking about Torbay. Me and my partner were talking about this the other day, and basically what we were saying is that when singers come over to the UK, they automatically go straight down to London because that's the capital of England and that's the best place to play. But they forget, places like Liverpool, where the Beatles come from, and also the southwest country where we've got beautiful seaside, and beautiful places to play, and we were sort of saying that, actually when musicians do their tours, let's bring them over to our way as well. But it's a beautiful place, Torbay. We've got some sun today and we've got an air show on this weekend as well. So we're very lucky over here in Torbay.
Oh, wow.
Absolutely lucky. Right, so let's bring everybody up to speed where we are in One Life. So as you can see, we were changing tack this week because unfortunately I did lose my stepfather, Bill. I am sending out my love to my mum and saying hi to her this evening. Mum, look, we've got an amazing rock and roller on for you this evening to get those feet dancing the night along. I know you've had a really tough week. You've been as brave as anything, and we're all very, very, very proud of you, and so would Bill. Okay, so we are going to continue supporting Addenbrooke Hospital over in Cambridgeshire. Please open up their web pages, have a look at the cardiac arrest units and also the blood transfusion units, because for 15 years, they actually kept my father alive and he was able to live a life that he enjoyed in the kitchen, cooking, etc. So if anyone hasn't met Bill, let's see what Bill is up to today, because basically what I said to Mum is that we were just going to share some photos of Bill so everybody could see him. And this is what his favourite activity was: going down to the local boozer, having a nice meal and a good old pint. There you go, Henry. Henry, when you were out and about, awesome. Is there some nice places where you eat? Is there some nice pubs?
Yeah, there's pubs everywhere, restaurants, everything. It's a very commercial area. So, but I live in the woods. So,
live in the woods.
Kind of secluded from everybody. Yep.
Secluded. You know what? Actually, that's Bill. If we were thinking about memories of Bill, he is a bit of that sort of person.
Well, condolences.
So there you go.
And I give her all my best, and so on and so forth. And for a quick, calming effect after what she's gone through. So.
Brilliant. So we are going to be staying upbeat for Mum this week, and that's the way that Mum likes to cope. She's already been out with her friends, and all the friends and family have been sending her flowers for the funeral tomorrow. Thank you so much for all of the donations that you've given my mum. I'm 8 hours away from Mum, so it's been really tough, to try and support her. My brother's over there at the moment, but thank you everybody for sending the flowers in. Thank you, Addenbrooke, for keeping contact. And also supporting Bill the way you have. That's absolutely brilliant. So we will do our best as artists this week to swap from the Music Venue Trust, because that's who we've been supporting this month. And I'm sure they'll be absolutely fine with it. To Addenbrooke Hospital, we will get you as much support as we can during the film tonight. So in terms of One Life, what's been going on over the last 2 days? Well, I'll tell you what, we've been busy once again this week. I always say every week, are we going to have a calm week? And is Adrian actually going to get some sleep this week? Nope. He's been very, very busy for you all. So, ladies and gentlemen, drum roll. We at last, after 5 years of searching, have found our own DJ. So, One Life will have a DJ who will be playing all of your music dedicated to One Life. Okay, so you will have all of your tracks sent in and played to AJ or our new presenter, Kelly, who lives in Devon, and she will be playing on South Devon Radio all of your tracks. So please get your singles in. One Life has got a radio show starting next week, and it's going to be an absolute cracker because we are going to have radio shows and we're also going to have live festivals as well. So with Sensational Sounds, we are putting on a live festival in October. You're going to send one in as well, Henry, are you? Fantastic. That's what I'm going to see.
You send me your address and I will send you an autographed copy of the CDs.
I love this. Fantastic. I'll tell you what, Kelly would be actually pleased with that. So you can put it in the studio so we can have it live on the studio and we'll take a picture for you. But, so that's really great. And welcome, Kelly. Pass of all, if I've said your name right, please, if I've got that wrong, you can kick me when we meet in town next week. In relation to My Indie Radio, you still continue to be our #1 sponsor, and you also are off to the Jose's as you've been nominated. I looked on my list and to see if I'm on the list for the Jose's this year. 2 days to go, and it doesn't look as though I'm on. But hey, our sponsor, My Indie Radio, is going to be there as she's nominated, and she's very, very proud of herself. But on My Indie Radio this week, we have the one, the only Callum, who was on our show about 2 months ago, and her rewind show. So for Henry, he doesn't know this yet. This show will be rewound in France, but you won't see the visual pictures of us. You will see the audio version of us live in France on the show, okay, over there in France. But this week it is Callum, so she will be played also. Just want to say to One Life members who are on the Jose's, I have been keeping an eye out on the list, and we have got some members who have made it. We are very proud of you all for making it. Emily Judson just being actually added to the list today, and also Mission Road as well. I've seen you've been added to the list as well. So well done, guys. We're really proud of you for the One Life team, because the Jose's is an absolutely massive competition and a massive place to be recognised for the music that you've made. In relation to One Life, in relation to the Academy, I would just like to welcome Chris Creamer, who has joined us from the UK band over in Newcastle called Urban Times. They've now split up, but he's going solo. So he is going to be producing his own music, his own rock music. He's a guitarist and apparently a damn good singer as well. And I'm really looking forward to welcoming Chris on part of the Academy. And we are on the lookout for a rock artist who can teach him what it's like to be a solo artist and record for him very self, because I think they've done a lot of covers, the original stuff. He wants to start writing his own things and also being his own solo. So if anybody out there would like to teach someone from the UK all there is to know about the indie world and also all there is to know about the rock world, check on me. And then we only need a couple of hours of your time, because that's what the Academy is about. Us artists giving back to artists to make sure the indie artist industry does not fail. Okay, we've been doing the Music Venue Trust, and how many times this month have we been told if we don't do something as artists, we're going to lose music, especially in the UK. And I'll tell you what, One Life is not going to let that happen. We are going to make sure that indie artists' music is played loud and proud over the airways, and loud and proud in your pubs and clubs and nightclubs forever. We are not going to let, everything what's going on at the moment close us down. Even if we play out on the streets and in the car parks, if we don't have a venue, we will just play in the car parks, Henry. Henry, back in your day, did you ever get to a stage where you could never play music? It just seems absolutely crazy that we're closing everything down. Was it 1972 that you started with your music?
That's when it really hit me, was in 1970. I was 13 or 14 years old. I can't remember, obviously, but it was that was the year. And
would you ever think that it would get to a stage in the music industry where we were actually talking about so many venues closing that you can never play again? People couldn't actually find a venue.
It's awful, because it's hit over here as well. And another thing I noticed is that most of the clubs where you used to play until 1 a.m. Okay, for us over here, but now the clubs have shortened it to 12 instead of 1 a.m. Makes it a little easier on the musician, but you're starting at 8 instead of starting at 9 p.m. And so the club goers have decreased over the years, so that they're staying in the clubs less. They're spending less time in the clubs than they used to. Where you used to stay there until it would close, and after it closed, and then you'd go out partying and somewhere to eat after that. That's really not happening anymore. So it's a shame. But yeah, 1972
really
was the day that. Yeah,
and it was 1972. It was for hitting you. It was the Raspberries, wasn't it? So we're losing connection. So if I'm jumping in, it's because the connections are in and out this evening. So we were mentioning about the Raspberries and that sort of 1972 period, sort of bringing your music, sort of loud and proud.
Yeah.
So
well, what happened was,
tell us a bit about that.
I was a kid. I was doing kid things, and we were just tossing a football around in a gravel parking lot below our 2-story apartment building. And I hear this wailing guitar and these unbelievable harmony vocals meshed with this guitar. And it was just like, it kicked me in the face. It went into one ear, and you know how things go, one ear and out the other. Well, this never left my ear. It stuck in my head. And to hear the Raspberries, and I didn't even know at that point that they were from Cleveland, Ohio, where I was living at the time. So, but they had gone national with that hit "Go All the Way," and that's what really got me interested in music. And ever since that day, I followed the Raspberries. All their albums, of course. I have so many live recordings that I have bought over the years that are, people don't know about, and people snuck recorders into clubs and into concert venues, and I was able to acquire concert footage, and that's what it was. It was the real recordings that really, excited me.
Do you know what? That's crazy. You think
live? It was.
Can I just stop you? Can I just reflect? Can I just reflect a bit there, Henry? One, just to let you know that you have got a couple of your friends who have joined you this evening. Chris Clark has said hi, Henry. I don't want to forget our listeners as well. Okay. And we've also got a Tom Lufkin has also said hey, Henry, as well. So are they friends? Are they your fans?
Oh, wow. Yeah, they are. I've known them for quite a long time.
Good. It's nice to see friends and people who follow you. And welcome to the show, Chris, and welcome to the show, Tom. I want to reflect. You were saying about cassette recorders. Recording live gigs. I think if I go to a live gig now and I get my mobile phone out, as soon as the security guard sees that my phone's out of my pocket, they take it away from you. You can't record music. But we forget about the days that you went in and you took your tape recorder.
Yeah, well, I used to have one of those compact mini recorders, and what I would do is I'd shove it into a cell phone case, and I cut out a picture of a cell phone and put it on the front of the recorder, so I was still able to sneak it in and get a couple of concerts. I got a really good concert from Grand Funk Railroad when they came. They reunited, and I think it was 1989. So that's a collector's item. Yeah. Yeah, but once you're taken by that rock and roll, boy, and it gets into you, it doesn't leave. It's stuck, So.
Right, okay, Chris. Just to let you know, we're not going to get onto personal arguments in the show. We'll reply to you after the show. Basically, why did you block him on Facebook? He was one of your best fans. I'll let you sort that out after the show, okay? I'm sure you didn't mean to block him, and I'm sure we can get him back. Oh, well, Chris, we will sort that out after the show, and I'm sure Henry will, sort you out, okay?
Yeah, we will. So, no problem.
In terms of the Raspberries, in terms of you writing your music, did you see yourself sort of performing their songs? Or did you think to yourself, do you know what, I actually want to do my own style of writing? and produce your own sort of ways in which you story told with your writing?
Well, up until 2014, I mean, we just played everybody's music. I mean, Raspberries, Bad Company, um, Aerosmith, Led Zeppelin, Rush. We did a whole Rush medley because I could cover the Rush singing, so that was kind of important. But then later on, in 2016, the last band I had folded, and I decided now that it was time for me to finally get the originals down the way they should be down, because we didn't have the money. We put out a cassette tape in the late 80s, and made 100 copies. It cost me a lot of money, all out of my pocket. And at that time, you weren't making any money. I mean, that's just the way it was. That's life. And so I did what I could. And so we had a 4-track recorder, and you would record 3 tracks, bounce them down to number 1, record three more tracks down to 2, then record 2 tracks, bounce it down to number 3, and then you were left with 1 track open, and then you could play a live track over that. So we did that, and the harmonies turned out okay. I think I accidentally sent you over a couple of versions of songs that we redid, but we'd had from back in the day. And you'll hear the big difference of what the quality was between, because it was just a small unit, probably 10 inches by 12 inches, and it had a cassette tape in it, and then the mix. I mean, it was a great little thing for the time, but everything now is just so digital and everything. It's just so far forward. But I knew that these songs were good, at least at my aspect, and I wanted to get them done the right way. So as you were saying, with the COVID, stroke the year prior in 2019. So that kind of hampered me. And we had floods in the studio because I was trying to build it into a recording studio versus just a live rehearsal space. We had a couple of floods. Then a mixer went down. I had to buy a mixer. Then the stroke came in 2019. So I couldn't speak. Everything was a stutter. Every word that came out of my mouth was stuttering. So I had to learn how to basically talk normal again. And it wasn't until I got back to work that I was able to do that. Talk to people instead of dogs, because I have 3 dogs at home. But anyway, so we got the studio finished, and we started during COVID. I talked to Frankie Vinci. Frankie Vinci was from a power bop band in 1978 that had the guys Frankie Vinci and Lex Marchese, but the anchor was Dino Danelli from the Young Rascals and Gene Cornish from the Young Rascals, and then of course Wally Bryson from the Raspberries was added to it. So it was basically a small super group, so to say. And they put out 2 albums, and it was right when the whole disco era was coming in. You wouldn't know that. You were just a baby still. But anyway,
I was only born 76, so I wasn't even born then.
So yeah, so 78.
Youngster,
you missed all the glorious disco stuff.
I missed them with great years. I really did. Definitely did.
I had no taste for disco. That was, in fact, that a couple of really good bands that I had back in the day. But anyway, so I became friends with Frankie on Facebook. Would accept my friendship because he didn't know who I was, and then we had been talking for a couple of years, and he had mentioned, why don't you make a photo maker Facebook page? So I did, and that's spelled Fotomaker, kind of unusual way, but they had a huge following, but they just didn't make it. Disco had taken over, and they were basically swallowed up by all that at that time. But anyway, So Frankie Vinci was a friend, and we were talking during COVID, and I had mentioned, yeah, I want to start recording these 20 songs. Well, actually, I didn't tell him 20 songs at that point. It was just one. And he said, well, listen, I had helped him out monetarily with some issues he had. And he said, well, listen, since you helped me, send me one of your songs. I'll cut it. And then if you like it, fine. I helped you for helping me. And then if not, then, you know, we're square, you know, because I feel I owe you. So he cut the song that's on the album called Someday Soon. And when I heard it, my jaw just dropped. I mean, the production, the quality, it was just unbelievable. And I said, well, how do you feel about doing 19 more? And he said, fine. You know, cost quite a bit of money, but we got it done. And the finished product, I think, is real happy. It's getting a lot of attention all over the world. Basically, it's hit in the Netherlands and in Australia, and now London. In fact, I have two friends of mine, Mike and Christina from Broadview Heights, Ohio. They went over to England. They go over to England quite a bit, and they actually took one of my CDs and walked it across Abbey Road and took it to McCartney's place and McCartney's house and put my stickers all over McCartney billboard there or wherever you can sign things. And so I made it to England too there. So that was kind of cool.
Fantastic. I've just had a quick message from Christy as well. There's a quick message from Christy. Yes, he says, hi, I'm here, I'm listening. Can I just, Henry, literally just jump in a minute? Can I just remind my audience, I know it's friendly banter, but please be aware that we are talking about local and national charities. We are also talking about some sensitive things quite a lot during the shows on all the time, okay? The comments boxes are there for you to interact with our artists and also interact with each other, but be kind to one another, and just remember that actually there could be anybody reading this show tonight and they don't want inappropriate comments on the show. So I've had to say that to the person that I've just had to remove and also delete the comment. I'm sorry I've had to do that, but obviously we are here for everybody, okay? And one of the biggest things that we're here for is global and national charities, okay? So apologies that I've had to do that. And if you want to contact the show after the show and have a quick chat with me, and I'm sure you didn't mean the comment that you did, but I'm absolutely fine with that. It has been deleted, but we can go on with the show. You know, and unfortunately that is what happens on live shows. Sometimes comments do sneak in, and sometimes we do have to remove them. But hey, I tell you what, if you want to name and shame that gentleman who you did see the comment off, and you did see that comment, get him to go over to Addenbrooke and go and get some money for them, because I'm sure they need it, okay? Sorry about that, Henry. I just wanted to jump in, and we'll talk about that after the show. In relation to Chris, my granddaughter has a Tiffany necklace that was damaged in a fire. I would like to see if you could restore it.
I will be glad to do that.
Really don't know. No
problem whatsoever. Okay. My daytime job is
anyway. That's why I was getting confused with all the other comments I've made. It is such random thing, you know. Is your daytime? Does people know that you're a jeweler doing your daytime job? Because everybody knows you as a musician who plays amazing music. Does everybody know you're a jeweler? They do. They do. Okay, so what sort of things do we make? Do you sell them at your gigs?
What's that? I'm sorry.
Do you sell them at your gigs? Do you sort of do you sell them as part of your merchandise? Is it a CD, a T-shirt, and a jewelry?
Yeah, no, that'd be cool, wouldn't it? No, no.
That'd be you should think about that. Extra money on stage.
There you go. I haven't really gigged out with support of this album yet. We'll see. We have some for next year, and it's pretty big, but we'll see what happens. And you know, as far as working on any jewelry or anything that anybody has, like Chris, we can talk about that some other time. So
I love random questions during interviews. It really is good fun. Anyway,
song,
we are 25 minutes in. We are 25 minutes in, okay, Henry, and I want everybody to listen to your amazing music and be surprised just as much as I was. So, do you know what? I'm going to get you to tell me the story behind this actual track itself. Too many cigarettes, not enough beer. And before you do that, I'm going to explain why I've chosen it for tonight's program. Now, my stepfather loved, as you can see, with his dinner, a nice pint of beer. Okay. And yes, he did like to smoke a good cigarette as well. I remember, Mum, if you're listening, having to literally crawl on the floor because the cigarette smoke was so thick you couldn't actually see in the sitting room. It was those days where people just bought God knows how many Benson and Hedges and basically smoked and smoked and smoked and smoked. And we all know that Bill did love his drink and he did love his cigarettes. And unfortunately, his illness took him in a way that he couldn't do it. And on his last day, he said to my mum, "Can you sneak me into hospital a ginger ale? And a whiskey. I'm desperate." Even though he didn't want to, he never used to drink, as far as we know, ginger ale and whiskey. He desperately wanted one before his last days. So, Bill, I know that you are up there with that cheeky grin that you've got on your face. Then now you're fit and well. You are up there with your mum and your sister having a nice meal, having a nice pint, having a nice little whiskey, and you're now enjoying yourself because you're not going to be ill by it all anymore. So I'm glad you're enjoying it, okay? And you're finally in a place that you can feel as though you can go back to the things that, you love most. You love being with your friends, having a pint, and just enjoying life. And now you can go and do that after battling some very difficult illnesses for the past 15 years, and that smile will be back on your face. So I've chosen this song in memory of you, Bill. Too much cigarettes and too much beer and too much great food. Do you know what? Never enough, okay? I hope you're enjoying it wherever you are now. Have one for me, mister, okay? As we're remembering you this week, okay? But I'm going to ask Henry all about this song and what inspired him to write this song.
Musicians, for the most part, are cheap. They are frugal and they don't want to spend money. So we came down to rehearsal day, and at that time, buy a pack of cigarettes for $2, $2.50 maybe in U.S. money.
Those were the days.
Basically, at that time, it's a lot of money for us, but anyway, but everybody in the band had cigarettes, and not one person spent the $2 extra to buy 12-pack of beer. So when I looked at the situation, and I'm just like, this is ridiculous. I said, that's ridiculous. Everybody, there's too many cigarettes and no beer. And that's how that song actually became, that's how I wrote that, to that premise. So
absolutely love it. Absolutely love stories behind the songs when they're written. They're absolutely fantastic. Right, I'm going to play this to everybody. They're going to enjoy it just as much as I am. Henry's going to take a bit of a break while the song's going on. Enjoy it, everybody. Okay. Too much cigarettes and not enough beer.
Actually, there's a can open that opens right
Absolutely.
at the end of that.
Absolutely awesome. I'll tell you what, even the young people of today are going to love that song. I could just see them as they're all partying and they're playing your song in the
Yeah,
background, you know, a group of teenagers, because it sort of sits in with everybody, doesn't it? It's a great, great song. And
oh,
I
it
said to you
sure
earlier, it's
does.
one what's going on my playlist this week. Absolutely great song.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. So I was holding up the
Shaping it, you
picture.
know,
This is in
those.
the.
Go on.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. All right.
No,
So I
no,
was
you were
holding up
holding up the
the.
pictures.
Yeah. These are the 20 players that played on the album. Okay, so
Oh,
there's even Steve Holley right here from Paul McCartney and Wings, from the very first
oh
Paul
wow.
McCartney and Wings band. And the man who played lead guitar on that last song, Richie Scarlett, right here, is from Ace Frehley from Kiss. He's from the Frehley's Comet Band. So he played on it as well.
Well, do you know what? You know, that level of guitar, I was thinking myself, Henry, was that you in the background with that guitar? Because that was absolutely
And
awesome.
I
But
didn't do that, but
even Henry himself, he's like, no, I didn't do that.
and then of course, after from 1972 to actually have the Raspberries drummer Jim Bonfanti on the album as well. He played 3 songs on the album as well. So it was quite a chore trying to coordinate 20 people
It was. I bet it was
to
really
come in on.
difficult. I had hard enough doing like 5 or 6 during COVID. 20, that must have been
No,
quite
it
a large
was
task.
it took 2 years to make the album, and I had to coordinate. You have to figure everybody's got lives. They have wives, they got children, they have grandchildren. At my point, they've got things to do, yards to take care of, houses to take care of, and things like that. And you have to try to coordinate who was coming in on what day. And then I had to have my engineer there, whose name was Matt Kruger. Matt Kruger was just phenomenal in recording the drums and recording guitar work, recording bass work. He was just amazing. So we had all these different people come in on different days, and it was usually on a Sunday, obviously. And I tried to get it done earlier in the day so that everybody would still have time for family afterward. So, but yeah.
That must have took a lot of time, a lot of effort. But I tell you one thing that I am very, very surprised about is the support through the Indie Artistry Network. You know, I'm part of ISSA, and I never thought that I'd be sitting here down by the sea, putting on an academy online with such great artists who have basically said to me, you know what, if they want my time, I will give them my time. I will support the youth and I will support the artists who want to come back into the music industry. You know, you've got 20 great artists there from so many great bands, you know, have all basically been willing to give up their time. And time is very precious to a musician, you know, when you think about studio time, when you think about time with your family, you know, but to actually do that project. And I think that's one thing I'm very proud of you all in One Life, when you actually do give up time for local and national charities, you know. But for yourself, that must have been an absolutely, you know, was there any obstacles? Was there any times you think, you know what, this isn't going to work out? Or did it just go through smoothly? Was there any sort of obstacles in the way of doing such a great project?
Yeah, there was. I mean, my engineer wanted to do the mix on everything, but then the producer Frankie, who I'd spoke of before, wanted to produce it because he was the one who did most of the work and so on and so forth. So there was a little bit of headbutting there, and I was in the middle. So how do you please 2 people? You know, it's very hard. And instead of just going crazy, and I just let it work out itself, and it basically did. And Frankie did all the mixing, and then the finalizing of the music and so on. But every step was, I can tell you right now, from the compact discs, I must have about 400 to 500 compact discs that Frankie would send me a song, and then I would listen to it on my way to work, on my way home, on my way to work, on my way home. No, I don't like this. No, I don't like that. We got to change this. We got to change that. And then that would go on during the week. And then he would say, well, you need to re-sing this line, or you need to sing this line with a little more intense, or you need to do this, you need to do that. So then we would come back in a week or 2 weeks and then go over the lines and re-sing them. So yeah, it was kind of tedious and a lot of work, but all in all, the outcome was
always worth it.
I was very happy. Yeah.
Definitely, really, a big smile on your face, holding up the album. And it is worth it, guys. I know I've done a lot of projects around the world, and there's some great projects coming out this year behind the scenes in One Life that I know about. And I can't share with you all, but I see it on a daily basis of what's being made. And I know it's hard work out there, guys, but please stick at it, because there's some great tracks coming up from all of you. And it really is worth it. Every single sweat and tears. And I don't think people see that in the music industry. They see the final product, which comes out on Apple iTunes, but they don't see the blood, sweat and tears that goes into creating such an amazing album, and sort of how much hard work goes into it, sort of Monday to Friday, So well done for that album. It looks absolutely amazing, and I can't wait to listen to it all. I'm going to sit and go through as many as I can this week, but I'm really looking forward to it. Going back to some sort of charitable facts, one of the things you put in your bio was, you do have a love of dogs. And sort of pet rescue. Can you tell the audience a bit more about that?
Yeah, I have 3 rescues. I've been rescuing dogs for the better part of 30 years, 35, 40 years now. I've always had a rescue dog instead of just going to a breeder. The dogs that are in the rescue places that need rescue, that they have no homes. They have nothing. Where, breeders breed for a purpose, and there's nothing wrong with that. I understand that breeders are great as well, but there's so many dogs in kennels and in lockup areas where they're just waiting, and then they're put down because nobody wants them. And same thing with cats and the guinea pigs. I mean, you name it. These rescue places have all these pets, and they need homes. They need somebody to take care of them. And when you realize that they can be your best friend, they'll listen to you when you need support. I mean, they're there. They're right next to you. They'll lick your face or give you a paw. Or give you a pause, saying, we know you're feeling. They know, they can sense when you're feeling bad. So I do a lot with rescue organizations, and so the Cuyahoga County Kennel, which is a Cleveland organization, donated from there, and you should hook up with Bridget. Yeah.
I was just looking at Henry. Chris was just saying that Henry feeds his dogs a gourmet meal while he eats frozen pizza. I'm sure you don't. I'm sure true. You actually have just as good as meals. Is that true? Is it?
That's the absolute truth. I'll eat hot dogs or something like that, but every 2 weeks I cook about 25 to 30 pounds of beef and chicken for the dogs.
Wow.
And I freeze them in portions, and then I use them for 2 weeks until the next 2 weeks. That's the honest to God truth. And they do eat better than me. Fantastic. Yeah, most days.
Oh, yeah. That's really sweet. That is really sweet.
I love them. I love them so much, and I depend on them, and they depend on me. So that's the thing. But there's so many rescues out there. I'm sure you have them in London as well.
We do. We have a lot of rescue centers.
There's a lot of stray dogs that are running around and things like that. And if they don't get swooped up, they have to fend for themselves. So it's better to adopt one and give it a good home. And you make two things happy, yourself and the animal. So.
Definitely. That's really lovely. That was really touching when I saw it in your bio. Henry, well done. Chris is saying, it's very, very true, and that you do give up your time, and that's absolutely beautiful, absolutely lovely. And anybody out there who's supporting the animals and and giving them homes, there's so many animals still out there being left out on the street. So give them a good home like Henry is, okay? But I'm sure Henry will get sick of pizza. Like they may get sick of your music. Do they get sick of your music? We have a lot of animals on the show. When people start playing their music, we'll jump up on the board and say, "Do you know what? Turn it off, Dad." You know, are your animals rock and rollers? Do they love your music?
Yeah, the big guy, he's a Great Pyrenees, so he's about 130 pounds. I don't know if you're familiar with that breed, but he's all white and 130 pounds. He's huge, but he howls when the music comes on. He tries to sing. He tries to sing with it. It's kind of amazing. So, but they're all getting up there in age, and they need support. Right now more than anything. So I help them. But I do. I have donated to the American Cancer Fund as well. I have a coworker that just came down with a rare type of cancer that's incurable, and I donated to her GoFundMe page and things like that. So if people in need or animals in need, and I do my best to contribute to those organizations. So.
Brilliant. Thanks, Henry. This is what One Life's all about. Behind the scenes, us musicians, we do put on a good show, but we are very heartfelt when there's a good organization come up to us and say, do you fancy doing something, for cancer research or, for animal research? I think animals is just as big as anything else. As soon as we see a cat or a dog, it's like, how can we help you? We all do as much as we can for local and national charities. But I love hearing all of your stories, and you've all got something individual to bring. What we do say on One Life is, has anybody got any charitable links or anyone that they are working with, please put them on the One Life page so we can send them out, and also people can see them for themselves. It's a way of keeping in contact with our viewers, but also a way in keeping in contact with our charitable events. Okay, so let's go on your next song. We are 44 minutes into the show, and we still need to empty your pockets, Henry, okay, and also our audience pockets this evening. So we are going to go on to Long Live Rock and Roll. Absolute great song. Tell us about the story behind.
Well, Long Live Rock and Roll was actually the very first rock song that I wrote, and the riff is the guitar riff that's in that song very resembles. I don't know if you're familiar with the band Sweet. They were like a glam rock band in the early 70s. Through probably the beginning of the 80s, but they were from England, and I wasn't too into their glam show, but I was into their music, and the riff in this song is actually very similar to something that they would have put in one of their songs, and it wasn't intentionally done. It just popped into my head one day. Let me try this, and it worked, but that is my guitar work. So just so you know.
Fantastic. Brilliant. Well, let's listen to Henry's guitar work, because I tell you what, from that last track, I thought his fingers were burning, because that was amazing guitar. Absolutely amazing track again. Long live rock and roll, everyone. Enjoy yourselves, okay, just as much as I did.
Again on this one.
Rockin'
Absolutely amazing track. Long live rock and roll. Chris again. I just missed him by about 5 minutes when he adopted his Great Pyrenees. I love these comment sections because I never know what's going on. The messages just get sent in, and hopefully it does mean something to our guest this evening. Does that mean anything to yourself?
Yeah, he had. I guess he was trying to meet me at the shopping center where they were having the adoption for the dogs, and I had already pre-adopted mine, but I was picking him up that Sunday, and another friend of mine was there, Laura, that met me there, and then so Manny is the dog's name, Manny. So he got to meet Laura, and then I guess we just missed Chris Clark by a few minutes. So
that's the story. 5 minutes more, and he would have got it. That's the story behind it. Yep. Okay, fantastic. Okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to do our quiz, and then what we're going to do afterwards is we're going to let our viewers know what's going on, Henry, for the rest of the year for you. Okay, where they can see you, where the CD's going, and also what's going on in terms of Chris's musical journey for the rest of the year. So the quiz, everybody, this evening. Okay, we are keeping on the theme just for Bill, because he can take part up in heaven. I'm sure he will do. Okay. You can come and play your great British pub quiz. Okay. So it's actually not British. It's actually a mix of questions from the UK and also US. So everybody should be able to play along. It's a bit of a mixed trivia this evening. Okay. So if you are playing in Facebook, X and YouTube, remember what the rules are. If you get a lower score than Henry out of 10, you have to play double into Addenbrooke's, okay? So Henry is going to be the marksman this evening. He is going to get the biggest score, okay? And if you don't beat him, that means that you have to pay double what Henry does, okay? So Henry here will be getting $2 fine for every single question that he gets wrong. And he'll be contacting my mum to say hi, but also to say, hey, mum, how do we send over to Addenbrooke's? Because Adrian's completely stuck with the website and where the donate button is. Okay, so mum, you set this little challenge. Can you please find the donate button for everybody, because when we go on the website we all can't find it. But anyway, so Henry's going to give us a big task this evening and see how many questions he gets right. I'm just going to go behind the scenes, everyone. It is a readout question, okay? And I'm going to bring it onto the screen. Okay, so we've got a mystery trivia, everybody, this evening. Okay, right. So, 10 questions, that's all we're doing this evening, and it's mystery, so we ain't got a clue what the questions are. We're just going to go for it.
Mystery trivia round. 10 questions on the mystery topic, 2 points for each correct answer. There's a total of 20 points available today, and your topic is science and nature.
Oh, absolutely awful. I hate science and nature questions. Are you ready to get to science and nature, Henry?
I have no idea, so let's go.
You have no idea science and nature. It's cruel to us sometimes.
Should I just
2 days ago, it was easy.
Should I just blurt out my answer, or do I type it in somewhere?
You could blurt it out. You may be surprised, and you may actually get it. Okay, some of our artists have done. I think on Monday it was like 8 out of 10 on Monday. They done really well on Monday. But the week before, where I had 4 artists on, and they only had 2 out of 10. So you know it could be different every single time we do it. Okay, you could be in luck. Okay.
Okay.
Question 26. What name is given to the scientific study of insects?
Okay, what name is given to the scientific study of insects? Does Henry know?
No, I'm sorry.
We find out.
And that is entomology.
Okay.
Question 27. Which planet did the NASA rover Perseverance land on in 2021?
Okay, which planet did rover Perseverance land on in 2021?
That would be Mars.
Just pick a planet, really. You'd say Mars. You reckon you're right? Let's see. There you go. Mars. See, you did get one right. Well done. Oh, come on, X.
Step out of the car.
Get out of the way.
Do it now.
We're doing a quiz.
Get down on the floor and brush yourself.
Question 28. In technology, what does Wi-Fi stand for?
Oh, technology, everybody. What does Wi-Fi stand for? Does Henry know? You know, Henry.
I'm dropping it. I can't figure it out.
It stands for wireless fidelity.
It stands for wireless fidelity. To all those who wanted to know.
Question 29.
Okay.
What type of plant is bamboo classified as?
Oh, do you know your plants? Do you like your plants? You're in the sort of in the woods, sort of hidden, so you might know this one. What type of plant is bamboo classified as?
And bamboo is basically an island type thing, so I'm not in an island, so
that's very true. If
yeah,
you'd have been in an
that's
island,
it.
you might have known.
I've got pine trees. I don't have bamboo. I don't know. It's
grass.
It is grass, apparently. I wouldn't have, put bamboo with grass. Okay.
Question 30. In the film Finding Nemo, what type of fish was Nemo?
I watched this last night, actually. It sort of come on telly all of a sudden. I wasn't watching Nemo. It was my son. Finding Nemo, what type of fish is he?
Geez, that's saltwater fish, so I have no idea what that is.
It's not. For all those who watch Finding Nemo, you will know that it should be a clownfish, hopefully.
He was
a clownfish. You're right. See, I know that one.
You're right.
Question 31. What part of the human eye is responsible for controlling the amount of light that enters?
Ooh, what part of the human eye is responsible for controlling the amount of light that enters?
The retina.
Let's see if you're right.
That is the iris.
It's the iris. Really?
Question 32. What gas do humans exhale when breathing out?
What gas do humans exhale when breathing out?
Carbon dioxide.
What was that? Carbon dioxide. Let's see.
Carbon dioxide.
They exhale.
It is carbon dioxide. Well done.
Question 33. What is the name for the supercontinent that existed around 300 million years ago?
What's the name of the supercontinent that existed around 300 million years ago?
I got nothing.
This is a tough one today. It really is.
That was called Pangea.
Yeah, I wouldn't get that.
Yeah, of course. I know that one.
What was the name of the first human-made object to land on the moon?
Okay, last question of the evening. What was the name of the first human-made object to land on the moon? Any clues, Henry?
I should know it, but I don't. I did a paper on it. I'm going to have to pass.
It was Luna 2.
It was Luna 2, everyone. We're going to come back and we're going to put Henry out of his misery, bless him.
Hey.
That was a hard one this evening, and it was a random trivia, and I did not know it was going to be science, but between us, we got 3. Okay, I did help you with one of them, and I was quite, because I was only excited because it's probably the only one I did know. You got the other 2. That means 7 that you got wrong. So 7 times 2 is $14 over to Addenbrooke's Hospital, or as much as you can afford. Henry, we're asking you to give whatever you can afford, but also give out that good name of Addenbrooke's Hospital over to America and just raise awareness for them and let them know in America how much they did support my stepfather in the last days of, him celebrating his life with us. Okay, so Henry, for your fans, your family, for all those who are wanting to know, we are now in May. We've got a fair few months left of the year. What's going to be exciting for them to look up to?
Well, I'm beginning to write some other material. See, my thought is there's about 70 to 80,000 internet radio stations out there.
Wow.
And I've only hit, I mean, I spend my Tuesdays, I spend about 4 hours sending out messages, texts, wherever, to try to get my music out there. I hit about 12 to 15 stations a week, and hoping, I'll get a response. And so out of 80,000 stations, I may have hit so far maybe 300, maybe 400. So there's a lot more stations and a lot more area to cover with my music. And the music that I wrote, it wasn't one of those things where, hey, you got to write a song, write it. These songs are my life. I've written them over my whole lifespan. And so these things come to me. They just don't, they're just not made to man-made where you got to, you have to do it by a certain time limit and so on. So there's a lot of things that have come to me in the past 3-4 months, which it's surprising. I'll be driving down the car and on the way to work, and then I'll hit my notes on my iPhone, and I'll hit the microphone and I'll chip some words in there, and hopefully we'll be putting that together at some point.
Brilliant.
But next year there are some things that will be happening. There's an old club that was around in the late 60s and 70s where the Raspberries actually got their start.
Brilliant.
And the club is actually going to have a reunion of sorts, a huge reunion. And there's talk about all kinds of different concerts and things going on during that time period. So we're kind of looking forward to that. And that's towards the fall of next year. So nothing immediate, but I will be writing music. That will be happening.
Fantastic. So. Brilliant. So lots more to come from Henry Stadler, everybody. It has been an absolutely amazing evening of great music, great entertainment. And Chris has also joined in with the quiz this evening. So I don't know how many points you got, Chris, but basically you've joined in as well. Thanks, Chris, for joining in. And thanks also, and sorry, poor old Tom that we had to chuck out of the studio. We've done the Great British chuck out this evening. I hope you're okay, Tom. Give us a text at the end of the show. We'll have a chat, buddy. But Chris, thank you so much. And thank you for all of those who have joined us this evening. It's been an absolutely amazing show. Great music. Definitely one that I'm going to be listening to for the rest of the week, because I really, really, really did enjoy it. Henry, is there anyone out there you want to say a special thank you in terms of those who have been right behind you from the very start?
Christine Michael Briggs, like I said, they went to London a couple of times, brought my CD over there. My best friend in the world, John Keane, my brother, Nick, my son, Jeffrey, and everybody that helped with the album. I mean, 20 different people spending their time to help out with this process, and it was a big ordeal. And we got it all done, and kind of happy with it. So.
Brilliant. I'm glad. It's an absolute great album. Okay, keep going with that one. I'm going to say thank you to everybody who's listened tonight, everybody who's listening during this difficult week, for myself and my family, but also for yourselves. At the end of the day, these shows do bring up quite a lot of memories, quite a lot of thoughts. And at the end of the day, we're all here for one another. We are one big family, okay? So if you have been affected by tonight's show, or you've been affected during the week, please, don't sit there on your own. Please pick up the phone a friend, phone a neighbor, phone a support group. Everybody is there for each other, and we are all here for each other at One Life as well. Okay. We are all there to support as one big happy family. Okay. So I'm going to say a fantastic thank you to everybody, and let you know that tomorrow I've got a very, very special guest on the show tomorrow night. If you want to join me at 7:00, I have managed to track down, and I'm so excited about this, Henry. Those sort of when you meet people and you get all giggly and then you hide under the table because you don't believe that you've actually met them. One of my big bands that I loved growing up in the 80s was Boyz II Men. I absolutely love Boyz II Men. Absolutely love Boyz II Men. And then the other day, I was sitting with my colleague, and he said, we are going to be speaking to a gentleman called Louis Humphreys. And I said, right, okay, brilliant, excellent. Where's he from? America. Okay, great. Okay, what are we meeting him about? Well, we're going to be meeting him about this amazing singer called Omar Wilson, who is on the show tomorrow at 7 o'clock. Absolutely amazing singer from New York. He does travel around and gigs with God knows how many thousands of people. So anyway, I'm sitting in the office with Paul, and I said to Paul, okay, so let's go back to Louis. Tell me a bit more about him. And he said, well, he used to be the producer for Boys to Men. I was like, okay. Just general conversation over a mobile phone. Louis Humphries comes on the TV screen like we are now, Henry. And I just turn around and I'm like, thank you so much for bringing Boys to Men out. I'm so pleased to admit you. What a great job. I was like, I felt
absolutely
so
awesome.
But Louis Humphries, if you are listening to this, we are really looking forward to bringing on Omar Wilson onto the show. I have heard his music, and I know you are going to love it out there tomorrow night. Please tune in at 7 o'clock. Louis Humphries, I'm sorry I made a fool of myself, but thank you very much for accepting me for who I really am. And thank you very much for continuing to work with Sensational Sounds and One Life as we are meeting on a regular Wednesday now, which sounds really weird that, you know, 6 years ago, I was writing my first song, 9,000 Miles, and now all of a sudden I'm sitting in the studio being awarded for, hopefully in Atlanta, the ISSA Awards, and talking to Louis Humphries, Boys to Men producer. But hey, that is one life, one happy family, okay? Have a great evening, everybody. Enjoy yourselves. I'm going to speak to Henry after the show. Have a good evening. We will see you tomorrow night. Keep looking after yourselves and keep supporting Addenbrooke's Hospital for me. Take good care, everyone.
Bye.